3, 2, 1, boom! Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. Presenting the world's only business school without the BS. With optometrist and entrepreneur Dr. Robert Zellner and USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark. Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
Yes, sir. It's Z and Clay, broadcasting from the box in the 918. Business school and the topic today. Check the syllabus, it's getting you paid. I'm making the business boom, it's what we do. You can do it, let us show you. Get Thrive Nation. Welcome back to the Thrive Time Show on your radio. My name is Clay Clark. I'm the former USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, sent here on a mission to get you into a great financial position. And right now, I can tell you this. If I could capture this smell and put it on the radio, we would have many more listeners. It's incredible. We've got pinyon wood burning. We've got grillables out there burning. It's just, it's a great smell.
There's 3 fires that I counted last going on right now. The fire pit, the chimney, and the fireplace.
Yes.
Could it be any better?
It could not. Now, we have a question from a Thriver that was emailed to us. So this is from a Thriver in Nashville, Tennessee, who's a doctor. And he writes, I'm grinding hard, but how do I know if I'm close to a breakthrough? Well, I've got a lot of things I want to share with you, but I want to make sure that all the listeners know every time we do this broadcast, every time we do this podcast, my goal is to help coach you up and to not talk down to you, to help lift you up, to help advocate, to help you get to where you want to go. And with that being said, here we go. In order to be successful, you've got to develop the Stoic mindset. Well, what does it mean to be Stoic? Stoicism, we could do entire other shows about the origins of Stoicism, but the point is it's the endurance of pain or hardship without a display of feelings and without complaint. Another way to look at it from the Judeo-Christian mindset, from a book called the Bible. Matthew 5:10 reads here, Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I'll repeat. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What does that mean? It means that you probably will grind your entire life. The goal is to get to a sustainable grind because the word promotion equals problems. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you're Dr. Robert Zellner and you have multiple businesses, or you're Lee Cockrell, the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Resorts, or you're myself, you own multiple companies. Let's just say under any of those circumstances, do you think that the proportion of problems goes down as we grow the business? I mean, Chip, does that seem logical that as an example, we'll just do elephant in the room as our men's grooming lounge as an example. We are cutting thousands of haircuts per week. At least every couple weeks, we're cutting thousands of haircuts.
Absolutely.
When we cut hair, what is a percentage of haircuts do you think it seems likely? Luke Owens here at the Hub Gym, you're a special guest. You're not a hair professional, but if we're cutting hair for 1,000 people, what percentage of the time do you think that it's likely that we would mess up?
At least 10%, I would say.
Okay. Now, let's say that you, for just so the Thrivers out there know, we shoot to be a 2 to 3% air rate, which means out of every 100 haircuts we do, about 2 to 3 is about the lowest acceptable normal
which
that we try to drive for.
About 20 to 30 a week if you're cutting 1,000 miles.
Yeah. So I want to share with you. I'm going to go on Facebook because I wanted to get myself worked up and get myself distracted. No, I want to read for the Thrivers out there the actual commentary. So let me pull this up. Give me just 1 second. I'm pulling it up. Okay, elephant in the room. As of the time of this recording, we have 384 Facebook reviews that I know of here. And this isn't total, but this is just recent reviews. Now, if you look at those reviews, as the company grows, we get more and more reviews, both good reviews and bad reviews. So why don't I just pull it up and then go through the treasure trove of reviews. Now, if you look at the most recent reviews, Scott Blosser writes, love this place. Go and see Janet at BA. She is money.
Yeah, Scott.
Michael Guyton writes, Mandy cuts my hair and does a perfect job every time. Highly recommend. Mike King writes, Mandy did a fantastic job at the downtown location. Justin writes, love this place. Megan was an excellent stylist. These are ones in the last hour. And we go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But here's the deal. Once a month, we ask our customers. So once a month, we make a push to gather sincere reviews from our actual customers, right? That's what we would do. Again, once a month, we make a sincere push for that. We don't do it every single day. So what happens is, what do you think what happens, Chup, on the days that we don't, or the weeks we're not making a consistent push to get great feedback?
I know what happens.
What happens,
The
Chup?
squeaky wheel, rears its ugly head, the bad reviews. Because the only people with enough energy, if you're not out there actively trying to build Google reviews, the only people taking the time to review your business are going to be upset for whatever reason.
So anyway, Philip goes on here and begins to write what appears to be probably a long book. I mean, good job, Philip. Way to start
a novella.
It's nice that he started to write a long-form book, and the first 2 pages of it were devoted to us. I mean, that's actually more content than the average adult writes in a year.
True.
To write 2 solid paragraphs, I mean, that really shows
SEO,
some dedication. Thank you for the SEO. So I'll have the search engine optimization. Chup is joking because he's a search engine nerd, but whoever has the most content gets to be top in Google. And so all I'm saying is we're getting more bad feedback, not as a percentage. So we're not getting more as a percentage. We're still getting about 2 out of 100 people whose haircuts we mess up, but now there are thousands of customers. So we're getting more complaints. So if the goal is to be promoted and to eventually get to a place where you don't have problems, then that is a disingenuous goal. It's not possible. So what I would say, if you're listening out there and you say, am I close to my breakthrough? One, you have to understand that Stoicism is the only thing that I can possibly encourage you to do that is sincere. You must embrace the concept that you must endure pain and hardship without a display of feelings and without complaint. Because Matthew 5:10 from the Bible instructs you that when you are righteous, you will be persecuted. That's just what happens. So if you say, well, I don't agree with that specific verse, you took that out of context because you're just a context taker-outer. Okay, so this is, I'll give you an example. Jesus was killed at the age of 33. That's the same number that Jose Canseco wore when he played professional baseball for the Oakland Athletics. So this is, we have 12 apostles that we know of, right? We have 12 apostles. Now let me just fire off for you how they all died. Simon, a.k.a. Peter, was crucified upside down. Well, at least he got off easy there. Andrew was tied rather than nailed to a cross, so the suffering would take longer. James was beheaded by the Romans. John got away lucky. He peacefully passed away and was the only apostle that didn't die a violent death. Well, good job, John.
1 out of 12.
Philip was scourged and then thrown into prison and crucified. Bartholomew was beat by people, and then they crucified him. Thomas was killed by a spear. Matthew was stabbed in the back. James was beaten and then stoned before being killed by being hit in the head with a club. Thaddeus was crucified. And then we just go on and on. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the apostles, the very people that set the example of what you're supposed to be like to drop everything and follow Christ, they were persecuted, which is why in the Bible it doesn't promise that if you serve God, your life will be easy. I don't know where people get that message. I don't know where people get that. I hear Judeo-Christians all the time. Well, I've turned from my wicked ways and I followed Christ and I don't understand why I'm having problems. Because it says specifically in examples, it shows you that of the 12 apostles, 11 died in a not so positive way. And the very leader of the Christian movement, Christ, he died at the age of 33 of a violent death. And you might say, get off the religious examples. Okay, fine. Fred Smith. This is the guy who came up with FedEx. Chup, can you read us the Fred Smith story?
Yeah, so Fred Smith, he first came up with the idea to build FedEx in 1962. 1962, while attending Yale University. Yet, it took him until 1971 to actually start the company. Last I checked, that's 9 years, and the company did not make a profit until 1975.
That's just if you want to do math, because you're thinking about from 1962 to 1975. It's probably because he's not as good of an entrepreneur as I am.
or maybe Jeff Bezos. Maybe
let's do Jeff Bezos because he probably is not as big of a screw-up as the founder of FedEx.
Yeah, come on, Fred. Amazon.com was started by Sir Jeff Bezos in 1994 out of his garage. In 1999, Luke, he lost $719 million.
That seems like a lot of money if you round it up. I mean, if you round it up, it seems like a lot of money.
It's like $720 million if you round up.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, so it took Jeff 9 years to turn a profit in 2003.
These sound like really positive stories.
Yeah,
Continue reading before bedtime, Daddy.
Well, we got Ted Turner. Okay, Ted Turner purchased.
Never heard of him.
He purchased his first cable network in 1970.
Freaking weird.
Yet it took the man nearly a decade to launch his vision of CNN.
Yeah, it's freaking,
a decade.
Ted Turner was probably a freaking idiot. Read me at someone else because right now you've been reading off idiots.
ESPN.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good company.
They can read people's brains.
You can read it. Read the ESPN.
ESPN was
osmosis,
founded in 1978, yet the company did not make a profit until the mid-90s.
It's probably because they didn't have good management.
It's like 20 years.
Okay. Go on to the next. These are all negative examples.
Tesla. We've heard of Tesla.
Oh, yeah, Tesla.
SpaceX, Elon Musk, right? Tesla. It was founded on June of 2003. Oh, by Martin Eberhard, is that right?
Yeah,
right?
Eberhard. Either way, it was hard.
Yet it took Tesla over 10 years to turn a profit.
These are all people that obviously don't have their crap together.
You think those suck?
Okay.
This next one sucks.
Yeah.
It took James Dyson 15 years to create his first dual cyclone vacuum cleaner, which did not hit stores until 1993. And he had to create 5,126 versions that failed before he actually created the prototype.
Chup, why don't you read off some entrepreneurs that actually we know? Because these other people are obscure, and we deserve to have higher quality, better entrepreneurs.
How about a little man by the name of, I don't know how little he was, but Thomas Edison. Have you heard of him, Luke?
Yes.
Good old Tommy Eddy. Tommy Eddy. So Thomas Edison created 10,000 failed experiments of the light bulb before
he was 5'10". He was 5'10", Chop.
Normal man.
He wasn't little. Screw off.
A normal man named Thomas Edison.
Okay.
I mean, come on. It is what it is. That's what it takes. Life is hard.
These are all not examples that apply. Could you read me another one? I'm trying to find one I can relate to.
Alex Ohanian. Anybody know about this guy?
Okay.
He founded Reddit. Okay, it started in 2005. Only a few people were using the platform, so they created fake accounts to create the look they had to get a bunch of traffic. So they're like out there just finding ways to go, right, to build it, to make it look like they're super busy. And so using their bogus accounts, they work to create the overall tonality and the direction of the discussions that were on the website.
He faked accounts because no one was on his website.
Right.
Chup, give us another example. I still am not believing that it takes a long time to build success. I want to have success in like a month or two. I'd like it if I got to have big success in like a year. I don't like the idea of incrementally getting better. I don't like the idea of Kaizen. You know, the Japanese philosophy of continual improvement.
Are you into this, Luke? It kind of matches working out. It kind of makes me think of that whole mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I get the question all the time, like, how did you get arms like that or this or whatever? And people think that it just happened overnight. It was through hard work and diligence, consistency, that produces those results. And Clay, you're looking for an example, but you and Z give them all the time of your story. You know, a person might look at where you're at in your life and say, wouldn't that be nice? I hate that statement. You guys went through the mud, you did the work, and you continue to do the work. Just because you're successful, you didn't stop.
Now, if you are listening to the show right now and you're asking the question, how long does it take to be successful? If you're one of our business coach clients, on average, it takes about 18 to 24 months to completely flip a business and to turn it around and to get it into a positive zone. So when we come back, I want to get Luke Owen's take on the turnaround we've been doing at the Hub Gym, as well as I'd like to get Eric Chupp's take on some of the business coaching clients that he's worked with directly to improve their businesses. And then we'll read off about more entrepreneurial pioneers that struggled for decades. Stay tuned.
Do you need help growing your business? Take the challenge. The Thrivetime Business Coach program will beat any marketing firm's prices by 50%. Schedule your free consultation today at thrivetimeshow.com.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. It is the Thrive Time Show on your radio. We're breaking down the Success Mindset 101, the Stoic mindset needed to win. Stoicism, which I'll get into like the origins of Stoicism on a future show and where it came from and who believes in Stoicism. And I'll just say this. I've had the opportunity to sit down and meet billionaires with a B and many millionaires. And I can tell you that they almost all embrace Stoicism, which is the endurance of pain or hardship without a display of feelings or without complaint. As an example, if you are a Judeo-Christian and you spend way too much time watching the prosperity message, you may believe that if you are a Christian, you will not endure pain. However, if you actually read the Bible, I don't read the Bible. I just watch motivational Christian speakers because I don't read the Bible. I mean, I'll watch motivational speakers, but I don't watch reading the actual Bible. I mean, who would actually read that old book? I just watch the motivational speakers. Well, in the Bible, Matthew 5:10, it's an old book. It reads, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Well, I don't like that story at all. That doesn't seem very nice. Well, then you think about this for a second. You say, okay, well, I would like examples of maybe, the apostles. Could we start there? Well, okay, I would love to hear about the apostles. I'm sure, didn't they all live wonderful, prosperous lives? And they all had a lot of income because they all named it and claimed it. They all just had success. They all binded the demons, right? I mean, they called Richard Roberts, 1-800, he'll send you a prayer cloth, and boom, money cometh to you. You're right. If by money cometh you mean they all died a horrible death with the exception of John. Simon, a.k.a. Peter, was crucified upside down. Andrew was not nailed to a cross. He was tied to a cross so he would suffer longer. James was beheaded. John he passed away peacefully. Good job, John. Philip was scourged and then thrown into prison. Bartholomew was beat by people and then he was crucified. Well, at least that sounds nicer though, as opposed to being crucified upside down.
He was probably unconscious.
Come on, man. All these people died a horrible death, and then Jesus Christ himself died at the age of 33. Well, that was a long time for people back then because a lot of them died of polio. Come on. I'm just saying is everybody who is a devout follower of Christ died in a painful way with an exception of one. So then you think about business owners and you say, well, if it's going to take, James Dyson, who made the Dyson vacuum, 5,126 versions of his invention to come up with a vacuum that worked. If it took Thomas Edison 10,000 failed experiments to come up with one that worked. If it took Jeff freaking Bezos 9 years to make Amazon work. If it took 11 years, actually 13 years to make FedEx work. If it took Ted Turner over a decade to make it work. And if it took ESPN over 15 years to make it work, then what hope do I have? Because I was just looking and I realized it took Tesla 10 years to make it work. I'll tell you. This is the hope you have. It takes you about 18 months to take a typical small business and make it profitable and turn it around if you're in the toilet, okay? Or if you're in a growth phase, but you want to have fast growth, rapid growth. So here are the 3 things you have to do if you want to make your business grow, okay? Step number 1 is you have got to systemize what works. You have to document what works, Chuck. You have to document what works. All right? Step 1, document what works. So how do you know what works? Well, you actually have to test. So let's go to the Hub Gym, Dateline, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, downtown Oklahoma, downtown Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And so the Hub Gym, Luke, how long has Eric Chubb worked with you in the Thrive program?
We are at about a year now.
Yeah.
At about a year, and I would say we're about to a level where we're getting to a few goal points in terms of numbers of members that will allow you to start to finally pay yourself what you're worth after how many years had you been running your business before we ran into you?
Almost 12 years, and that was one of the things that I had to learn is that I could not operate on the exhaustion from 12 years of hitting my head against a wall. And had to come with renewed vision after starting to work with you guys. So
how did you reconnect with us? How did that occur?
I came to the conference.
How did you hear about the conference?
A friend of mine attended it and said, "Hey man, you need to go there." And I thought, man, this is going to be another thing. And I got there, and it wasn't at all.
So it turned out not to be a scam.
Scam.
So, Chup, what have been some of the big breakthroughs you've had at the Hub from your perspective as a coach?
Oh my
that
gosh.
we've found that have worked? Just give me like 2 or 3 that you go, okay, that worked to generate more customers.
Yeah, well, basically, I'll take it back to that very first time that I met with Luke after the conference. By the end of the meeting, I said, I think you asked me a question of like, what do you want to get out of this? What do you want to get out of this if I decide to join with the program? And I said, I want to get that look off your face, man. Because it wasn't like a scowl, but it was like an intense, the stuff is not going right, and I'm going to do whatever the heck it takes to get it going right.
And I'm not saying as a listener that I don't care about Luke's emotional state.
Right.
But I want to know because obviously he's a happier camper.
Yeah.
Camper.
So
he's
how
on the show, we can see that, but it's a radio show, so it's hard to.
Exactly.
But what did you do differently?
We started exactly what you just said, documenting systems. And the main thing we started doing was tracking the systems we had in place, tracking the advertisements. Are we getting leads? Are we following up with those leads?
So here's an example of stuff that I've seen personally that you guys have done at the Hub Gym. One is you guys have started an aggressive online reputation management campaign, specific step-by-steps to help you guys come up top in Google and to have your real customers write you real reviews.
Right.
So now if you type in Broken Arrow Gyms, you're top in Google or near the top in Google.
That's right.
That's one. 2, you've created a no-brainer advertisement that generates leads through online advertisement.
Yep.
3, you have a sales script that your team is using, right? So you've documented those systems.
Exactly.
Now, step 2 is holding the team accountable to the systems.
Oh, boy.
And that part is tougher. But we are in the process of doing that. The process, as the Canadians say, holding the team accountable to doing what works. Chup, why is that tough for most clients to hold their team accountable? Once you know what works, why is it hard to hold the team accountable?
You gotta have to fire some folks.
Well, and you have to be willing to be held accountable yourself.
True. Step 1.
So what has been the hardest part for you there, Luke, of holding the team accountable?
Well, it's adopting that idea of stoicism, right? I cared more about these people's emotional state than I cared about my business. Period.
So
that's a ticket to failure.
So step 1, though, you document the systems that work. Step 2, you have to hold the team accountable to what works. And now 3, and this is the fun part, you have to pay yourself first. The profit first. Right. And you pay yourself first. And so what happens is, as the company grows, you need to pay yourself first. You cannot live below the poverty line and underpay yourself in hopes that someday you'll eventually pay yourself. You have to begin to pay yourself what you're worth because you paid yourself 0 for a long time if you're a business owner. Chup.
If you're a listener, then listen up to what the man is saying right now. I see this time after time after time. And you have to pay yourself.
Time after time.
Exactly. It's just, you're humble, you're a grinder, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. That's what you do. That's your mindset. But guess what? You got to eat food. You got to have a place to live. If you got a family, you got to provide. So you got to pay yourself first. And then work it into the budget. Don't be a hog, right? Don't be a hog and take all of the reserve from the company. But you have to pay yourself something. That way, once the company is making money, the system's already built to pay you.
Now, on the next segment, we're going to talk about systemizing it, basically nailing it before you scale it. You must systemize and nail it before you scale it.